and it meant influence over the government, and it meant you got special privileges rather than this, like I said, view it as a homeless man just coming in. And ye have respect to him that weareth the gay clothing. That might not be politically correct today, but it just meant bright clothing. And say unto him, sit thou here for a good place. Sit here. Actually, it's 120 degrees outside and the air conditioning works really well here. And we have the cushy patty red chairs that are observed for the people of influence, and the best place you can hear. You can actually see what's going on. You won't miss anything. There won't be any little kids bugging you. So sit right up here on the side. And we will be passing the offering plate, by the way. And say to the poor, stand thou there or sit here under my footstool. Go to the very back, to the worst place, where the rest of the poor are, by the way. And that's where we want you. Jesus was opposed to this, wasn't he? He set the example and said this was wrong, but it's culture. The culture is there. You know, this does happen in churches today. Catholic Church is very conscious about that, aren't they? The Mormons are very conscious about who gives and where and places of prominence that you sit. Actually, I had one of my friends, he's a priest, tell me that, you know, the rich people could afford more prayers because they pay us to pray more for them. And they paid a lot of my golfing greens. And he was quite happy about that. He said a lot of little retired women would come in and pay for their nephews, and I knew the nephew he was talking about. He was a teacher with me, because he was so bad, and he said, for years you paid all my my greens on the fees. I appreciate it. So it was carnal, no different than here. You know, if you wanted one of these priests to do something for you, it would cost you money. Same thing today. When Chris's grandmother died, and we went up to Kaiser, and they had family. They're all different. They're Catholic, and they're, I think, joined a community church someplace in Sacramento, right up there. And they had some big churches there, 3 of them. And guess what? They all called for the priest and the 2 pastors to come. Guess how many of those 3 showed up? None. Chris's pastor showed up, along with 7 or 8 of us that was there. And we got there, and they had called 2 or 3 times trying to get someone there because she wasn't expected to live one. And they wanted to have a prayer, and they wanted to have pray with her. And so we said, we'll pray right here, outside the elevators. It doesn't even have to be in the room. Joanna?
We talked to his mom after the funeral. She happened to stop by as we were out front. She said the priest never did show up. Yeah.
There's a difference between concern and just doing it as a job, isn't there?
It's their job.
Yeah, it's just their job. Yes?
The Lutheran pastor at the church my parents used to go to, one of the reasons they left was because when my dad was in the hospital, 13, 14 years ago, I guess, and he wasn't expected to live, the pastor never showed up. And my mom asked him later, you know, why didn't you come to the hospital? Why didn't you come to the hospital? My dad was in the hospital for almost a week. And he said, you didn't pay me. He said, you didn't pay. He said that was beyond his 9-to-5 job, and if you expected him to do anything beyond the 9-to-5, then you had to pay him to do it. And that was one of the reasons they don't go there very often anymore.
Yeah, it's, you know, Jesus wasn't on a
9-to-5 job.
overtime cycle, was he? And paid. So,
Pay to pray.
it wasn't unusual. And guess who went in the room? We all went in the room and we prayed. Now, his grandparents were Catholic. They wanted a priest, but there wasn't any priest. Second day, nobody had called them back. I think didn't they get a hold of the pastor the third or fourth day, one of the three that they had called?
I don't know, I know you guys were there Sunday. And
Yeah, I think it was the priest.
Monday morning though.
Yeah, on day 4 finally called and said, well, he was enjoying his days off and now he was ready to come back.
Yeah.
You know,
The priest that did the funeral said that he hadn't gotten the messages.
yeah. So it's really, now I guess if it would have been even the mayor of Fairfield or one of the senators or representatives and they were invited, they probably would have come in
Yeah, they get those messages.
if they were going to do that. Or if they could have offered prayer at the swearing in ceremony, they probably wouldn't have had that excuse, right?
That happened to me once. A lady, her husband was sick and the pastor was supposed to come to give him doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't come, so I started talking to her like, you try to take away my number. I said, look man, I forget who I was that time. I said, I'm taking away nobody, they called me.
Yeah. You see, what we have in a church that has people that care about other people, genuinely concerned, money can't buy that. Money can't buy it. And it's shown by the behavior and by how we react to a need and we seek and people point out. I mean, as Chris's mom stopped by and, you know, said, you guys are always there.
Yeah.
Okay. Are ye not then partial in yourselves and are become judges of evil thoughts? Are ye not? Who's he talking to when he says, are ye not? Is he speaking in general or who is James addressing here? Each what?
Church member.
Each individual church member that was at that congregation, if they were, you know, condoning that, he's speaking to them. He doesn't just say it's a bad idea, he says, and are become judges of evil thoughts. Okay? We are judging. We have already judged individual when they stepped in the door. I tell them, I teach a program. It's a master's program up in UC Davis. I'm facilitate it. And I tell them, you're going to be judged the first 3 seconds when you walk into that door. People are going to judge you. And by the way you look, by your tattoos, by your hair, by your shoes, you know, they're going to have you, oh, you must be a college student. That means automatically you got to be on drugs, right? And you got long hair and you have dreadlocks sticking out all over the place and you got pierced on your lips and your eyebrow and that. Well, reality, that's what people do. And I tell them, so when you apply to be an administrator or you apply to be a teacher at a district, cover it all up. Get rid of all your piercing. You know, roll your sleeves down, cover up your tattoos, do something with your hair because you've eliminated yourself the first few seconds that walked in. And that's what these people were doing, the people that walked in. And I mean, we all do it. I'll do it today, you know. We can look and we judge by past experience and what it's like, and somebody's judged by that. And that's what Jesus laid on James's heart to tell us not to do. Hearken, my beloved brethren, hearken not God, chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith.
Thank you.
Now, Jesus did not care whether you were poor or wealthy. What he cared about was, were you rich in faith, right? That's where the richness came in. That's where it came, in faith and heirs of the